Okay, well, welcome to the week 8 general meeting. So I found this article about, I thought this was really interesting because the main issue with climate change that I think we discuss is increased CO2. However, or at least in terms of agriculture, CO2 is a big factor. But I found this article talking about how actual global warming, increased temperatures have a potential to reduce the efficiency of photosynthesis. And it does that with in a couple different ways. One was it reduces the efficiency of enzymes. They were talking about one in particular called Rubisco. So that converts carbon dioxide into sugars. And they were just saying that as temperature increases, it causes a couple issues. There were other things such as so as temperatures increase, leaves have and the bio people can correct me on this. It's called stomata, I believe, and they like open to allow the plant to kind of cool down. But when it does that, it allows moisture to leave the plant. So with higher temperatures, that reaction is going to increase, which is going to cause the plant to dry out more. So there were a bunch of other things. I know one was it'll cause issues with enzymes in reproductive functions. So just a lot of issues that rising temperatures are going to cause. So they were talking about some of the technology that's being introduced to deal with that. So the first one was satellites that can detect changes in chlorophyll in a plant, and they were saying that they can view this chlorophyll change before the plant actually changes color. They were also talking about transferring heat tolerant genes to crops, so that it basically forced adaptation. There's a couple more. They were talking about engineering structures within the plant to get that carbon dioxide to that enzyme more efficiently, altering the light gathering properties of leaves, and the stomata, changing the density of that to improve the amount of CO2 in and the amount of moisture out. So, I mean, especially as a mechanical engineer, I thought that was kind of wild, all the things that you can do to combat that issue. But yeah, super interesting topic. If anyone wants this article, I can definitely share it in Slack. So we have a couple pretty quick reminders, and then we're going to get right to elections presentations. I just wanted to mention the greenhouse again. I did take away the picture of the thermometer because I wasn't sure about that very high temperature it said it had. And I checked on a day that was like 30 degrees and it said it was 75 in the greenhouse. So I think that's broken. I'm probably going to go and take that down at some point soon. But yeah, if anyone's interested in doing something like that, doing some planting, I was talking to the RIT Sustainability Committee, and there was some interest in setting up an event with a group working in there right now. So that could happen in the future. I don't know. Well, it's in the works. I also did want to mention 3x5 presentations. Those will be happening during the week 9 meeting. PLs should be aware of that. But yeah, same as always, it's 3 slides, 5 minutes. That doesn't include the title slide. And I think it'll be a good chance for everyone to kind of vet their projects off of each other, because we don't necessarily get a lot of opportunities to talk about what we're doing outside of our own realm of VSW. So I think that will be really interesting. Eli, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So this Saturday from it's 10 to 12, we're going to be having our construct event. So this one's just going to be a laser cutting and 3D printing demo. And so, yeah, I'm going to send out an interest form tonight to see how much material I need to buy for this. And if you want to come, please fill that out. And yeah, show up there at 10 o'clock on Saturday.
Do you have a plan of what we're going to make for the 3D printing?
Yeah, I do. It's just a bunch of different things I found on Thingiverse, to be honest, but I have a bunch of different options so people can choose their own stuff. Or you could bring in something, different that you want to 3D print, as long as it's fairly small.
I was just curious because I was doing some looking before this, and there's some very handy things that you can print in under an hour. It was kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
But yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and if you got any designs you want to 3D print or laser cut, definitely bring them.
Okay, so next up is elections presentations. This is the everyone who is running for a position. We do have 2 positions unopposed. That doesn't matter for those people. You can still run for either position. And if you win the other, you can choose to accept that or to not accept that. So I don't want that to influence anyone. So with that, I am going to let you guys start doing the talking. And I believe, Catherine, you are up first.
All right, let's jump in. Hi, I'm Catherine Page. As you all know, I was the vice president of our chapter last semester. I am a 3rd-year Mechie, currently on co-op this spring. First off, I'm honored to have been nominated for both president and vice president. I've been a member of ESW for 2 years and have loved every moment of it. Apart from being a dedicated member, I genuinely believe in the ESW mission to design, educate, and unite. Community has always been an important part of my life, and I've been an active volunteer with multiple organizations for over a decade. I understand the responsibility that comes with either one of these positions. As former VP of our chapter, current VP of the German club at RIT, former first robotics team captain, and as a Girl Scout Gold Award recipient. I bring years of organization, leadership, and service to ESW. And my vision for the future is to increase membership retention, and community involvement, expand our demographics to better represent all types of engineers, and to ensure that our chapter has a lasting impact on the community. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Catherine. So anyone can ask questions, but I wanted to start off with a question. I wanted to ask from your role within eBoard in the past, what have you learned and what do you think, what would you want to, okay, let me word it this way. What do you think eBoard has done in the past that should be changed, or that has been done that we can learn from, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think something that should be considered moving forward is the disconnect between eBoard and the rest of the chapter and how to correct that. Oftentimes, I mean, as we see tonight, this is eBoard and present, future, and former for this meeting, and that's something that needs to change. So bridging that gap and making this more of a community rather than a tier system.
I also want to ask, you mentioned some of your goals as either president or vice president. What are some specific things that you would think about implementing?
I think a good start to this would be to have representation outside of KGCOE. I think we advertise a lot within Kate Gleason, but not really outside of. And yes, admittedly, a lot of the engineering communities are within Kate Gleason, but there are plenty outside of that we don't really connect with. And I would like to change that for the future, and just generally make some noise and have increased number of events. I understand that this is, tricky with the current pandemic, but it's the best way we're going to have people come in and be excited about being a part of our community and staying.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Catherine? All right, then thank you very much. And we are going to move on to the next candidate, which is Christian.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've met most of you already, but if you don't know, my name is Christian. I am a first-year biomedical engineering student, and I'm the current communications chair. So you should have seen a couple messages from me. Last semester, the projects I worked on were the water filtration and the runoff in Red Creek. And this semester, I am working just on the Insel Nest. I am a very enthusiastic person. If you were at the event this past weekend, you can kind of tell that. And I'm also very involved in the community. I am a part of 5 other organizations on campus, and I hold a leadership position in another group. So I know some of you may be thinking like, oh, he's a first year. What does he know? I joined just about all of these organizations last semester. So I'm already I already have a good understanding of how each of them work and what works and what doesn't work. So really just having those connections will let me to, I guess, collaborate with them. That's one of the big things that I want to bring to ESW is more collaboration with other organizations. I mean, this past weekend, we were kind of collaborating with, I know we were at least in touch with the Outing Club for that event, but I would like to do more of that. And going back to what Catherine said with the design, educate, and unite, I think that we've done a great job with the design aspect, but not as much the educate and unite, because whenever I came in as a freshman, I know I was pretty clueless when it came to like the mechanics behind everything, and some of the projects I just was not able to contribute that much to. So I would like to, in the beginning of the semester, kind of lay everything out, offer different teaching things, and kind of make sure everyone knows that they fit in where they're supposed to. And then also with the uniting, this is kind of going back to what I said earlier. I want to kind of collaborate with other organizations at RIT and even outside of RIT. I know we do the 3x5 presentations with U of R, but I also want to kind of work more closely with ESW HQ and some of those other organizations. So yeah, thank you for the nomination, and yeah, thank you.
So I have a question. You mentioned that you are a part of, I don't know if it was 5 in total or 5 other clubs. How do you plan to manage that, especially going into, you guys can disagree or agree with me. I think second year, third year are the hardest years of an engineering degree. So how do you plan to manage your responsibilities to a bunch of different clubs as well as manage schoolwork?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that it's going to be tough, but 2 of the organizations are fraternities, which I've already kind of been through the process. So it's a lot less work in the future semesters. I'm also in Habitat for Humanity. That's this picture on the bottom right, actually. But they only have builds on Saturdays, and they're only for a couple of hours. And you can go to some, you don't have to go to some. It doesn't really matter. They're really lenient with that. So I'm trying to filter it down a little bit and put more effort into clubs like ESW that can actually have more of a direct impact on the community and less of, a focus in my fraternities where it was a process, but now it's just kind of something I can put on my resume. And if I want to get more involved in that organization, then I can in the future.
Awesome. I had one other question. So you've been a part of this club completely virtually up to now. Do you have any thoughts on what it's going to look like taking charge of a club that you haven't physically been in person to?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be different because, yeah, I don't really have much say towards that, but I think at least the beginning of next semester, we're going to have some online component. Like, let's be real, it will probably happen. But I mean, some of my other organizations are in person, so I can kind of base kind of my knowledge off of that. And I mean, it's not super different. There's still going to be a lot to learn, but I'm very willing to adapt and overcome some of those issues.
Just out of curiosity, what other clubs are you in? I know you mentioned Habitat and you mentioned the fraternity.
Yeah, I'm just gonna rattle them off. So Habitat for Humanity, Pi Kappa Phi, Phi Sigma Pi, Engineering World Health, and the National Society for Leadership and Success. I think that was 5.
Nice. Is one of those fraternities the Honor Society
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I
Phi
was gonna
Sigma
say,
Pi.
can you do 2 fraternities?
Yeah, no, one's social, one's academic.
Okay. I was just curious. Okay. Cool. Anyone else have any other questions?
I don't know if this is overstepping, but I do have a question if that's okay. So you've talked a lot about the experience that you can bring into ESW from these other organizations. How do you plan on balancing bringing in that information with our chapter's history?
I mean, I don't know what you mean with the history, but
Things we've already done, things that have worked, things that haven't, things we've cycled through in the past.
okay, yeah, I mean, with the structure at least, clubs like Habitat for Humanity, they're a lot more laid back and they have a hard time getting people to go to events because they're not very well structured. But when it comes to like the fraternities, they have a well set, well balanced structure. And I'd kind of like to base some of that off of things that actually work. But in terms of like collaboration, with the fraternities, I know there's plenty of like volunteering hours that we have to do. And with clubs like the outing club, there's different events that we can just do together to more connect with other clubs. It doesn't have to be relating to sustainability, but as long as we have some kind of connection and like friendship with other clubs at RIT, we're going to stand out and we're going to have more membership because of that. If people are a part of the outing club and they're like, oh, I didn't realize that ESW is super cool, then that'll help at least with membership and we'll get more people.
I have both a question and a comment kind of leading from Catherine's. I do really want to point out, I absolutely agree with your point, Catherine. A lot of my job as president is not written down on paper. It's knowing stuff. It's knowing, like, I know I'm friends with the last 3 ESW presidents, and I know that there's this project still sitting in the basement of this building right now. So, I mean, I will definitely do my best for both the president and vice president, and I mean, everyone, hopefully, to transfer as much of that kind of long-standing knowledge. And I had a question and I forgot. Oh, okay. So here's my question. If you run into a situation and you don't know the answer to it, because you are, as president, you are kind of you're the project manager of the e-board and of ESW. If you have a question that you don't know the answer to, who you're going to go to?
Either the e-board or past members or like people who actually would know, because I mean, e-board is supposed to kind of work as a team. So if I don't know the answer, one of them probably do. If they don't know the answer, then there are plenty of other people I could go to, advisors, past presidents, past alumni, I guess.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Christian. We are going to move on to Colin.
Hello, can you all hear me well? Okay, yeah, so I'm Colin. I'm a second-year honors mechanical engineering major I have an immersion in environmental studies, highly recommend it. And I'm got nominated for the treasurer and event coordinator position. For some valuable skills that I have, I'm very organized. I work in a very timely manner. I'm a fast learner. I can pick up skills very quickly and learn kind of like on the fly. I think I'm very energetic. I can bring a lot of energy and fun to situations, both social, academic, and professional, such as these. And I'm also, I think I have a creative, design-oriented mindset, which helps with engineering, but it can also help with other situations within the e-board. I have been an ESW member since last semester, October, during COVID, so it has been definitely a different experience joining a club fully virtually, even though I did get to go on some events such as the walk with Christian, Eli, and other members. It was a very fun experience. Excuse me. I have not involved myself with any projects, sadly, because of course load, but I do plan on joining the many fun projects I get to hear about in these meetings in my future membership with ESW. For some previous environmental management experience, I've co-led a forest cleanup project for the local town forest. You can see pictured on the right. During high school senior year, me and a friend, we recruited 6 volunteers total and planned out for a month for recruiting and planning out routes to best clean out the forest of litter and trash that a lot of people have left. It was a very fun experience. We did safe stuff, use gloves, use trash bags. And through that, I got to learn not only a good way to kind of help the environment while doing minimal damage to the environment at the same time, but also kind of how to lead a group of people connecting to sustainability. And so that's about it. Thank you for my consideration for treasurer in the event coordinator position.
Awesome, thank you, Colin. This is gonna seem like a strange question, but how do you organize yourself like for your schoolwork? I'm just curious your method of organization.
I use Google Calendar to kind of just make tasks. I just work on them as they come. I make sure that I'm a very timely person, so I always try to submit everything at least a day before because I'm not trying to rush it at midnight. And I always keep on top of everything. And if I have free time, I always try to front load rather than back load, because if you finish it early, it's off your mind and it's done and you know it's done. So you have time to work on new things.
Nice. Another question. If you guys are in another virtual semester in the fall, do you have any thoughts on events that might be more impactful than although they're fun, but instead of how do you have an impactful event in a virtual setting?
So yeah, that is a major problem, and actually a major problem that is kind of this bridge between virtual and in-person events that's kind of hard to manage. Last summer, I actually did this fun thing with friends where we would do Google Slides trivia, and it ended up really fun, and you could do it through Zoom, and with Zoom's cap of, 100, 200 people. This could be a great way that you could advertise it all around campus, have a little ESW sponsored environment trivia, and both quiz the RIT students on their environmental knowledge while also giving them maybe surprising but significant facts that they can know. And this kind of virtual trivia could help not only educate people, but get people who are non-members involved with ESW and hopefully promote the club through that.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. So I think you're the only one running for treasurer at the moment, but
Yes.
Sarah was saying that it shouldn't be partial just based on, which position you may be the only one for. So which position would you prefer, that people vote you in for, just out of pure personal preference?
Both of them, good question. Both positions I'd be totally honored to go for, but considering I have more experience with event coordination and that kind of stuff than financial management with treasurer, I'd probably lean towards event coordinator.
Okay, are there any other questions for Colin? All right.
Thank you.
Then, yeah, thank you. Then we are going to move on to John.
Hey, so I'm John Brennan. I'm a third year mechanical engineering technology major. So I'm one of the only people who's not a straight engineering student. I'm running for event coordinator. I've been in ESW for 2 years now, and I was event coordinator last semester. And then other experience I have for planning events is I'd plan Boy Scout events as well as church gatherings all throughout high school. A few ideas I'd like to do is, although people have already mentioned this, increase involvement with other sustainable clubs as well as non-sustainable clubs, especially for our service events. Try and get like sporting teams in because they have requirements for community service they need to reach, as well as Greek life. And then continuing to work with U of R and potentially UB, although they're a little bit further away, but I think we could maybe figure something out. Another thing that I'd like to maybe look into is lobby or kind of like, I don't want to say pressure, but like kind of pressure RIT to continue their commitment to increase their sustainable practices. One for me that I'd like to do is try and get them to put solar panels on all the roofs, not just some, because like the roof is kind of just wasted space and we might as well have solar panels or community gardens up there, but that gets a little risky with the high roofs. And then also just like try and get them to turn out the lights, just like the sheer amount of lights they leave on inside the buildings all night long basically is really wasteful. And I feel like they could put timers on them or motion sensors. They do have some, but not much. Yeah, that's kind of.
Awesome, thank you. I have a question that I'm not asking to the other event people running for event coordinator because I know they don't know about this event, but what are your thoughts on doing the winter banquet next semester?
I haven't been to a winter banquet because I couldn't make it the last year, and then the most recent one was canceled. I think in theory it's a great idea. I know that there's been some membership like issues with it and stuff, and like questioning whether we really want to do it. So I think next year, hopefully COVID will be done by then, if not the beginning of the semester. And I think we should at least talk about it and consider doing it. And then kind of see where we go. And then if we want to open it up to U of R or other sustainable clubs, we can do that. But I think we should at least consider doing it, at least for next year. And then maybe the year after we'll make more of a concrete decision.
I will say, just for the sake of transfer of knowledge, UB is they always send a couple people. They
Okay.
kind of come in mass, which is cool. Kind of off of that, what if the semester is completely virtual? Would you be interested in doing a virtual winter banquet? And how would you consider changing that event?
I mean, again, I can't really speak from experience. But I think we should at least consider it. Maybe think of it as just kind of like we can all just eat and talk about maybe like new sustainable technology we've seen, or ideas, like see what U of R is doing. Like it's still a way for us to communicate with U of R, and if it and UB, and if it's virtual, we can do like Cornell. and other schools that are further away, and we could learn what they're doing in their community and on the universities, what's working for them virtually, what's not working, and we can exchange ideas. But I definitely think we should consider it.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah. So I was really intrigued by your last bullet here, John, about kind of holding RIT responsible.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of policy that goes into that and a lot of jumping hoops. How do you see that? How do you see tackling that?
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of bureaucracy. I think we would definitely need to get a large amount of support from definitely the student body, and then ideally like alumni, because if like just one club says, hey, RIT, you should be doing this, not much is ever going to really happen. We'd really need a large amount of people to hold the university accountable, and I think it would probably be a decent amount of campaigning, a lot of research, and then also, I mean, we'd probably have we'd want to focus on like money, like try and sell them on it's worth the investment if like they did solar panels or if they did motion sensors for the lights, if they would save money on electricity, and then if they somehow manage to generate enough electricity, like electrical companies can buy it back. Depending on if laws change in the near future, you can get tax benefits from having like wind power and solar power, but that's not out of our control. But if in the event that it did change, we could point that out to them and be like, hey, if you do this, you'll get even more tax breaks, you'll be saving money, and stuff like that.
Nice. I will say also, just for information's sake for everyone, a great place to work on lobbying RIT to make sustainable change is with the SG Sustainability Committee. They're doing stuff right now with trying to get more composting on campus. And if you've seen in all the bathrooms, it says like for paper product waste only. That I think this is kind of cool. We were talking about that in sustainability committee, and the person responsible had said, hey, did you guys notice these things? And I actually mentioned to her, like, hey, it was kind of confusing. And then from that exchange within that group, that change happened on campus. And I think that's really cool. So that's open to anybody. If anyone is interested in sustainability committee, great place to work with policy stuff. Sorry, not to step on your toes, John.
No, that's okay.
Does anyone else have any other questions? All right. Thank you, John. I am going to move on. We have a video from Kylie. I am going to attempt to share my computer audio. Share computer sound. So here, I'm going to test it with my Coconut Mall again. Can you guys hear this? No? Oh no. Hold on. All right, well, it's not working on my computer either, so.
I have it on my computer downloaded, so.
Okay. Well, this might work. I meant my hotkey isn't working, so this might work.
Hi everyone, my name is Kylie Johnson.
Well, I can't hear it on my phone. Yeah, actually, Catherine, if you could share it, that would be good.
Oh, that audio was coming through, so.
Oh, interesting. Why was it not working on mine? Let me go back then.
I'm happy to do it.
No, if you guys got it, then we should be good. I don't know why I couldn't hear it. Computer sound should be shared. Okay, I am gonna restart this.
Hi everyone, my name is Kylie Johnson. I'm a second year Mechie and I've been nominated for the events coordinator position. I think that I'd be a good fit for this role, seeing as I'm already a project leader for Runoff and Red Creek, and I'm currently a co-president for another club as well. I do love to plan events that allow for bonding and having fun, so I would love to serve you all in the fall of 2021.
Awesome. Unfortunately, we cannot ask Kylie questions. So that is the end of this presentation. Does anyone have any questions overall about this process? I should explain what the process is, which is right after this meeting, I am going to send out a Google form. And it does ask for your RIT email. That is not for like, so we know who you're voting for. That's so we know that you are a full member, and we can check that. So voting will be open right after this meeting and going until right before the, or no, sorry, I'm lying. It'll end Monday night next week, and the results will be sent out by email. Now, are there any questions? Okay, cool. Well, that is all I had. So I will see you guys hopefully on Saturday for the Construct event. But if not, I will see you guys next Tuesday. So have a good week, everybody.